Welcome to the Service to Syndication Podcast, where we interview the biggest and most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, capital raisers in the world who have worn the uniform of this great country, those who provide services to our men and women in uniform, and other service-oriented professionals to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets to help you conquer your dreams and goals in real estate and to use this wealth creation vehicle so you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of generosity and prosperity. If what you desire is time, lifestyle, and financial freedom, you've come to the right place. We will bring to you the best real estate entrepreneurs who will give you the insights, the knowledge, experience, skills, so you can go out and crush it in whatever real estate asset class you desire. So grab a pencil and paper, sit back, and enjoy the ride on the Service to Syndication Podcast. Hello, my servicemen and women and other service providers. Welcome to another episode of the Service to Syndication Real Estate Podcast. I am your host, Cedric Marlow. I am a U.S. Navy vet. Here on the Service to Syndication Real Estate Podcast, we interview the most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, capital raisers in the world, where most have donned the uniforms of this great country. We aim to provide the tool sets, mindsets, skill sets for you to achieve your personal and business goals while using real estate as a wealth creation vehicle to help you live a more successful, happy, and fun-filled life. I'm super excited today because I have Mr. Trevor Methena, who is a top-notch real estate investor in a single-family space and other asset classes. But before I properly introduce our exciting guest to you, I have a favor to ask. Please, if you get some value out of the interview today, if you get some type of insight, mindset shift, if you learn a new skill, new information, receive inspiration or motivation to go out and take some action and make some progress in your life, please share this episode with some of your friends. Send it to someone you know who might be or could be interested in real estate. Share it on your social media, post it on your wall, or share it in your stories. Help us spread our message while you help others. And for all of you who shared this episode, thank you. As mentioned, we have Mr. Trevor Methena. He is a release train engineer who facilitates art practices and PI execution. They escalate impediments, manage risk, and help ensure value delivery and relentless improvement. RTEs also often participate in the lean, agile transformation, coaching leaders, teams, and Scrum Master team coaches in the new mindset and processes. They also adapt SAFE to the organization's needs, standardizing and documenting practices. Also, as an RTE, Trevor has led digital transformation with APIs, Azure Cloud Services, managing API development initiatives, driving reusability and cost time savings, manage resource groups, CI/CD pipelines, and service in Azure. Delivering projects that connect or migrate cloud applications and on-premise database. Release train engineers for a new agile release train handling integration features and automation enhancement. While in the Navy, Trevor was a chief information systems technician where he led sailors through career and personal progression, mission planning, and execution, directly supporting active duty Navy operations worldwide, managed unit staffing and onboarding. As flexible leader and technician, he provides thousands of hours to direct fleet support. All right, Trevor, again, thank you. The first thing that I like to do with my guests is that I ask them to walk us through their real estate journey in 75 seconds or less.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you very much, Cedric, for having me on. Really happy to be here and hopefully have a great conversation here. So, all right, 75 seconds. That's a quick one. So I always got to get the really good story out. Austin, Texas. We moved here after I got off active duty. It's a town where a lot of people are wanting to create the new app, this new whiz bang technology piece of something where they'll have a startup. It's a big startup culture, all this, but I've always had that entrepreneurial bug, and I knew that I wanted to pursue something like that after getting out of active duty, but I just didn't have that idea for this widget. So a buddy of mine who was also had kind of the same mentality, he told me, "Well, why don't you invest in real estate?" And I said, "Man, you're crazy. I don't have money to buy a house in just to buy a rent house." He goes, "Well, go get a mortgage." I go, "You can only have a mortgage on your house, on the house that you live in." I was like, "Yeah, of course." And he said, "No, you can get mortgages on rental houses." And as soon as he told me that, I knew that I was going to be down the rabbit hole, figuring out what to do. So as soon as that happened, my wife and I, we started researching. And initially we were going to look at just start to pick up a rental here and there here in the Austin area. But that did kind of happen during the really hot run of kind of that COVID era. So we were really starting to get priced out really quickly, and then things weren't penciling out there. So what we essentially did was we found a Midwest market, Toledo, Ohio. I have family there who could act as boots on the ground and help out with the management. So we took the sale of our owner occupied house down here, and we took that profit and started using that in order to buy real estate in Ohio, because we were also able to use our VA loan to purchase a new house here. So 100% financing. So that meant 100% of the sale of the other house went straight to our portfolio. Is that close to 75 seconds?
Close enough.
Okay.
As a friend of mine said one time, um, close enough for government work.
There you go. There you go.
So, um, okay, I have an MBA, and through all of my education, I've never heard of a release train engineer. Now, first, when I first heard release train engineer, I'm like, oh, he unhooked trains. That's all it is. Like, I got it. Like, I didn't need an MBA for that. but but I know that I'm 100% off base with that. So, what is a release train engineer? I read your bio, and there was a lot of technical terms in there, and more acronyms than in the military.
I
So,
know, it's crazy.
so tell us a little bit about that field.
Sure thing. So we are developing software to interact with locks essentially and do that in an automated fashion, have a lot of capabilities to do really cool things. One of the biggest use cases would be one touch system to lock down a whole school. That will be like a big piece of our value proposition whenever we are coming to market with this software product. So my job as a release train engineer has nothing to do with an actual locomotive, and everything to do with managing and scaling the large effort of teams of teams. So several teams of developers all moving towards the same goal. We are considered a release train. And they mean that by the fact that you're releasing features and functionality and managing that within your train. So I basically have to hold that higher level view of each of the teams, what they're doing day to day, that will ultimately all serve the completion of the mission. So that has a lot to do about coaching. It has a lot to do about being able to take granular information and bubble that up to leadership, and then vice versa, bringing information down to leadership, down from leadership to the team level, and just managing. the flow of communication, all kinds of directions, up and down, team to team, all that stuff. So that's kind of where I fall into place. It's a lot from it comes kind of out of project management, which, in the military, you get a lot of that kind of experience managing different things that can be considered a project. Whether you're needing to move a bunch of gear from one country to another, and managing all the steps in between, or you're managing a network on a ship, that you have to upgrade. That could be considered a project. So all that has kind of led me to where I'm at now with this, with helping develop software.
Okay, got it. So, how did you get into that field?
I was forced. So I started, so in the Navy, I was an information systems technician, but I didn't actually ever serve on a ship. On the ship, you own the network and you get to learn those really hard technical skills to manage a network, which then directly translate into jobs in the civilian sector. But we always had a network that we rented from some other entity. And so what my job was always doing was having to call and manage a ticketing process with these other groups. So I became much more skilled at project management, relationships, just organizing tickets that need to be done, or kind of work lists that need to be done. So as I was getting ready to transition out, I realized that was actually more aligned with the civilian side, would be like project management, and everything like that. So at my previous company, I went in as a project manager once I moved here to Austin, and slowly they shifted what's called more terms and acronyms, but they shifted from waterfall project management to agile project management. And when we shifted to agile, we adopted a framework called SAFE, SAFE, scaled agile framework. And within there, that's actually the organization that invented the term release train engineer. So when the CIO of that company announced, "Hey, we're moving to SAFE, get with it, get right with it," I took that as a signal to actually do that. So started learning about it, and then got a lot more information and a lot more knowledgeable on that framework than others. So when the opportunities came about to take on a team to be the release train engineer, I was primed and ready to do that, which meant I'm not getting left behind as we are progressing and moving towards the future in our innovation. So and then from there, I had to take on another opportunity here at working on this IoT platform, and it's been really good, kind of running the whole show and being the only release train in the company. So it's been really good.
Nice, nice. So, what type of training would one need to unhook trains? Just kidding, just
Sure.
kidding. No, seriously, what kind of training would one need for this?
Sure. With any good framework, they set up their monetization really well with training and certification programs. So they have all these opportunities for these different roles within the scaled agile framework. You can go and get a lot of training. So I've been fortunate enough that I did get a lot of training. So I am a actual certified release train engineer, as well as Scrum Master and product owner, product manager. And then they have other topics of kind of expertise as well within there. So it's all under that scaled agile framework
Oh,
organization.
okay, okay. So a little earlier, you made mention, I believe it was a shipmate or a person in the military, in the
Sure.
Navy, that prompted you to get into real estate, or at least spark that interest. Um, so one, what, why did you decide to be in Toledo, and what made you focus on that first property?
Sure. So yeah, so as soon as I started kind of getting the information about kind of make that decision that I was going to invest in real estate and kind of start that as my entrepreneurial journey. Uh, Not long after that, I figured out, okay, Austin is a bit of a tight market to really be able to scale quickly and gain cash flow and really get a good foothold into having a great portfolio. So I looked out to other markets, and Toledo popped up immediately because my dad was there. And after all the research and podcasts and everything, I kind of went down as far as a rabbit hole goes. They said get your unfair advantage and figure out where you can make your money go further. And so that's where I went with Toledo. And so it's started right there. The first focus of the first property I took down, I wanted to continue doing Burr. I wanted to start and always do Burr properties. And so the buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So the first property I took down was a very outdated but well-built bedroom, two bath house in a pretty good neighborhood there in Toledo, and it was being sold by a son whose father unfortunately passed away, and it had a just very 80s style, everything inside. So I took it as like, okay, this is a good bones of a house, but it needs a lot of updating and work. So that was what drew me to the first property, and from there we started the renovation process, which one of the first lessons I took away from that was you need to account for a little bit more budget for moving stuff out. We had huge couches and all this furniture that was just unusable that was in the house, and it cost a lot of money in labor to get that out to start the actual rehab process. So,
Excuse me. Yeah, funny story. Uh, with that, it was the summer of 22. Uh, I, there's a lady. I used to be a commander of my American Legion post. I just recently stepped down, but anyway, there was a lady who got in contact with me. Her father had passed away, left her this big house, and she wanted to make it a home for veterans. And I was like, okay, great. Let's work together and let's try to make this happen. And so I started to ask people to, like, let's help clean this place out. And people are busy, schedules, so on and so forth. So I was like, you know what? I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. I walked through the house. I honestly was in the house 3, 4 times. Now it's three, a triplex. And I'm like, one big dumpster and this thing is cleared out. Oh my goodness, $3,000 later. And I paid for it out of my pocket, just because I wanted to help her out with, what it was. But yeah, I was like, holy smokes. I mean, they made like 8 trips,
oh
eight
my.
trips to clear it out. So trust me, I totally get it. What you're talking about with adding a little bit more to your budget when it comes to getting rid of stuff and things like that, demolition and all that. So I get it. Um, so when you started down the real estate rabbit hole, if you will, uh, was this going to be a long-term plan, or what was it? What did you see?
Oh, absolutely. It was actually the plan is it's the transition out of W-2 work, or at least being able to transition to a real estate related W-2 job, and get out of the kind of the corporate technology space. It's a bit of a grind. It's tough, and I do find a lot more passion and desire to work in real estate, and especially when I'm talking about building up my own portfolio, something I can have, something I can hopefully pass on to my kids, or have them join the business and work with me in the future. So all of that, yep, it makes it for a very long term plan.
Okay. So you said you're in Toledo. Is that the only market that you're in?
As of now, yes. So I have recently, I think we talked about this a little bit before we hit the record button, but I've recently started a Burr specific coaching and accountability program with a couple of folks from the Philadelphia area, Nidhi and Polly Shaw.
Hey, thank you for tuning in to the Service to Syndication Podcast. If you are a military service man or woman, government employee, or any other service related professional, this is for you. I once was where you are. As a service member, I lived paycheck to paycheck. As a government employee, I knew there was more out there for me. I tried all the get rich quick schemes. None of them worked. Then a friend of mine introduced me to real estate investing. I am a commercial multifamily syndicator who helps those who have served in the military and those who provide services to our men and women in uniform and other service-oriented professionals achieve their time, lifestyle, and financial freedom by investing passively into multifamily real estate. If you know that this life has more in store for you, I invite you to tune into the Service to Syndication Podcast to learn the tools, tricks, and concepts to help you achieve the time, lifestyle, and financial freedom that comes with investing in real estate. So go over to cobbscreekcapital.us. That is COBBSCREEKCAPITAL.US and schedule a call so that we can get to know one another and see how we can work together to help you achieve your goals.
And so their main focus in the reason for the coaching program is to completely niche down and focus on a very scalable version of doing Burr. And they're not trying to make it anything besides being a Burr, right? But there's many options for funding. There's many options for how you acquire a deal. But they go step by step through the process and make have you focus on some of the options within each of those letters in the acronym, the options that make it the easiest and scalable. It's not always the most, it's not always the cheapest, it's not always the easiest, but if you get these pieces down, then they will be it will be very scalable to get through the whole process and continue to do it. So one of their items within their process is to focus in on a neighborhood. So you're down to a zip code. So when I did that, there are issues in the Toledo market with just kind of getting established really good professional contracting. So when I started in the program a few months back, I did move to a different market, and so it was in Indianapolis, Indiana. So I did just have an offer fall through last week for my first deal there, but I am committed to opening that second market up for my portfolio. So I will eventually be in Indianapolis and then continue to have properties in Toledo.
Okay. So just for everybody to know, primarily single family homes and small duplexes, like basically 4 units and under, correct?
Correct. Yes. Right now I have 20 properties with 21 doors in the Toledo market.
Okay. All right. Now, inside of there, are they in B, C, or D class areas?
C plus to B class areas. A couple in the suburbs, and then a couple near some hospitals, because I do have a few that I've furnished and run as midterm rentals as well. So there's a little bit more management to it on my side. But those properties are really close to this big hospital that a lot of traveling nurses come to. And then I think we have some petroleum companies come up there, and then the cable company. I've had some guests stay there as well from those industries. So quite a few different industries to be able to have a good market for midterm rentals.
Yeah, midterm and short term and midterm rentals. I still I really and truly have to look into that a little bit more, because the more and more people that I talk with, interview, and network with, that's a really, really good market. I mean, you know, class to be in, that midterm,
Hmm.
short-term rentals. And I applaud everybody who has the systems and processes and procedures together to do that. So yeah, that's great.
Yep, it's definitely a bit more work, but I think it's probably the reason you're hearing from it so much is it's just been a product of the market and reactions to the market. Just not, you can only pencil out so many long-term rental deals that don't work before you have to say, okay, what do I have to do to change this? I can't change the market myself. I can change myself and my approach and go from there. So I would have guessed that's probably where a lot of people are coming from nowadays.
Yeah, probably so. So those first few deals, how did you acquire them? How did you find them and acquire them?
Sure. So I've used the same realtor the entire time. I reached out to a couple folks that I figured out were, that claimed to be investor friendly. And he was the one who actually set the searches up like he said he was going to after the call. And he followed up and he understood what I was trying to do. And it was a big deal that he understood. I don't know if he maybe fibbed to me and said he knew and then went and looked it up. But shoot, he's been really, really instrumental in the whole process. And we've been he's been the one who's I've worked with the entire time, and he's been really good. He's learned stuff from me. I'm learning stuff from him all the time, and he is a really good negotiator. When that offer hits the seller's inbox, he has a great strategy every single time, and he's really been instrumental in getting a lot of those deals locked up. So, and then I got one funny story. I am having a bit of an issue with some tenants on one of my final properties that I need stabilized, and and an issue with the property management company. So the as we've been trying to wind this whole problem down and get them out and get a fresh start with property management and with the tenants, I did explore the option of selling. So I asked him, do your seller spiel. I've never been on this side of the table with you. So he kind of did a CMA on it, and he let me know what he thinks he could get for it and all that good stuff. So we've grown close enough now that I felt like I could joke with him. So as soon as he gave me all the information, I said, "Oh, that's great. I have a cousin who just got her real estate license. I'm going to let her list it." And he thought it was funny after a while. It took him a minute, but it was a good joke. It was just glad. I really like that I can build relationships like that and have that kind of camaraderie. It kind of brings me back a little bit to military life. We tend to razz each other a lot when we have nothing
Yeah,
else to do. So
yeah, yeah. So it sounds like you're on his priority list.
yep, I would say he'll answer my calls pretty quickly. So it's good, and he's sending me stuff that he sees at least first or second in line. So
Okay. All right. And so how are you taking these down, through joint ventures or hard money? How's your process of
sure.
taking them?
So we had kind of touched on it earlier, but we had some a good capital influx come in from the sale of our previous owner occupied house. So we were able to use that to start that first deal. I did pay cash for both the purchase and the reno, and then did a refinance out and managed to only leave like I think $12,000 in the deal after it was all said and done. So happy about that one, that progress, even though it was a little slow, but just kind of learning, putting my training wheels on. We did a lot of after that. We did just because of how slow that contractor process was. I wasn't finding good contractors at the time. We were actually going through those shortages and that lumber price spike and all that good stuff. So I did end up shifting to purchasing more so in just conventional financing. So we're talking these properties are 80 to $100,000 each. so your 20% down is doable for some part. So I did manage to do a couple with just regular conventional financing. I found a great broker through my realtor, and she made the process so hands off for me. I have to, if a month rolls over, I have to send her new statements. Other than that, I'm not sending a million documents to her. And she sheltered me from a lot of the back and forth with underwriters, and really, really showed her value as a broker, as being exactly what a broker is, the middle person to do the job. Made it incredibly easy, and made it just so fast to where I could just keep going. But between my wife and I, we were able to continue to put notes in just one of our names so that we could take advantage of the 10 max for Fannie and Freddie. I think we're actually at a point where, including our owner occupied, I think I have one left and that's it. So, so we did that for a lot of them. We did do a few burrs in between, like total of 3 burrs within all that. And I did take on a money partner as like a family member who trusted me enough after they saw what I was doing, and did bring a nice cash influx that helped out with doing some of these properties. So a little bit of a mix of everything, but so far this upcoming property that I've finally got under contract in Toledo, where I am doing it according to that coaching program's kind of steps. I am finally engaging hard money. And so I'm looking at a hard money loan for the acquisition and the construction costs, doing the SOW where there's going to be draw periods with the contractor and managing all that stuff. Really looking forward to that learning opportunity here coming up in next month.
Great. Yeah. If you find a great hard money partner, then it can be very fruitful. Trust me, I know firsthand. But one other thing before we get off of this is that Freddie Mac, they just started this 5% down program. So I would just say look into that for some of your
Okay.
other deals that, because, and I think it was out of necessity that they came with this, because I know on the multifamily side, deal flow has slowed to almost a screeching halt with the rise in interest rates.
Oh,
And,
sure.
Freddie Mac and Fannie, they're both in the business to lend money. And so I think, honestly, it was out of necessity that they came up with this. And I'm pretty sure there's some stringent criteria that goes along with it. I briefly looked at it, but just a FYI for you moving forward. Yeah. So you said that you have a property manager, or you had a property manager that, things were kind of rocky and, whatnot. How did you find your property manager?
Sure. So do you mind if I kind of, I have a good story about how my properties are managed and split.
100%. Let's go.
All right. So the second property that, as I started, I did do the leasing and the management myself for a while. I thought, I need to learn how to do it so that I can understand and work with a property manager, and understand what they're going through and what they're doing. So the second property that I actually leased, a scammer, after I had placed the tenants, took ripped the pictures and then reposted it as another listing on a separate website. So I had it on mainly Zillow and I think Realtor.com. They ripped it and put it on, I think, Apartments.com. I got a call about a month into my tenants living there. I got a call and they said, "Hey, I'm calling about the listing at such and such Main Street Road. Um, you know, I've been trying to get a hold of you." And I'm like, "Well, that's been leased for a month." And they go, "No, I talked to you yesterday and via text." So we figured out, well, first of all, she was extremely savvy. She found my number through the deed records. I was like, I don't even think I could do that. So good on you for that. I knew that they were savvy. She let me know that they were interested in renting it out to nurses. They had her and her partner had created a healthcare company, and they've been in the healthcare field, and they realized, hey, we're plugged into this network of travel nurses coming in, as well as hospice care needs outside of the hospital.
Yeah.
So she was looking to rent a house in with the intention of either listing on an Airbnb or using it for some sort of hospice care where they're taking care of the how it works, or how the place is furnished and all this stuff. Well, fast forward to today, they are my tenants for 7 properties. They only call me. I'm the long-term landlord. I get one paycheck. They only call me with mechanical breaks. And what they do is they say, "Hey, such and such broke. We'll go get a new one and, send you the receipt." And that's it. Something little happens, they have a whole crew and infrastructure to fix it.
Oh,
They
wow.
are, it is so hands off. It is amazing. So I still continue to self manage those 7. Now I cheaped out when looking for the other properties that I needed managed when I decided I needed to manage them. So I went and found the cheapest company. They were out of town, and they were trying to get a foothold into the Toledo market, and they did not have the infrastructure set up to manage a local market, and I paid dearly for my mistake. It was all my mistake for doing so. I thought that it would work, and I thought that I could save some money, and it ended up I was spending way more time managing them than I needed to. And so finally, after this last problem, it was the straw that broke the camel's back, and I have since transferred over to a new property management company, and already things are night and day difference. They're actually even going to handle the remodel of this property that I have under contract now. So um, my whole goal with them is I want to hand the keys directly from the closing table, which I won't even do because I'll be remote. So hand the keys to them at the closing table. They remodel it and get it leased, and I just talk to them when I need to do a refinance and get someone in for an appraisal.
Love it.
So
Love it. Yeah. So, for those properties there in Toledo, how often are you there? How often do you even visit?
I go once a year at least, but more so like 2 or 3 times a year. This year has been extremely busy with work. With the first couple times, the first couple years of this of building the portfolio, there was not much travel for my regular job, so it's much easier. But now with kind of travel restrictions lifting and things like that, we've been traveling a lot more. So it's really hard to get away. 3 kids and wife at home. It's really hard to get away. So um, and my dad comes down here a lot easier. I figure it's easier for him to come down here than me and 5 kids either drive 20 hours or fly. So I'll pop in there every once in a while. I will pop in now that I'm have established this relationship with this new management company who also does rehabs and contract work. So I need to go meet face to face with them because I do feel that it's a very important to do so.
Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about your last burr, the last
Sure.
property that you purchased, not the one that you're in the process of. Um, what value adds did you apply to that property?
Okay. So if you don't mind, I have, you know what? I will technically, I'm going to go over the second to last.
Okay, perfect.
The last one was kind of a nightmare, and a lot of it had to do with me. So this one was my contractor that I've worked with. He is a great handyman. He knows everything, um, but he doesn't like to run a big crew. So, this is what I've learned over this project. He actually brought this deal to me. It's in a beautiful suburb of Toledo, and he actually went to high school with the lady whose parents own the place. And they have since passed on, so they were looking to put the place up for sale. So he was able to put me in touch with her. And funny enough, I do feel that my first conversation with the daughter, her son is a corpsman in the Navy. And as soon as I was able to kind of, to let her know where I was at, where my dad was at, who she actually met, because my dad was also in the Navy. I think that kind of solidified, like, okay, let's do this together. Just kind of brought that rapport to her. So I was able to get the deal done, even working through lawyers and probate and all that good stuff. I was very patient with them, but I knew it was a good process or good project. So the place had wonderful, it was in great shape, just very outdated. So some of the things that we did, we had to update all of the, light sockets, the light fixtures, the ceiling fans, painted the whole house. And then here's a big lesson learned. This lesson learned is very similar to the demo and the move out of material inside a house. Wallpaper. So many labor hours are just eaten up by wallpaper, and they had wallpaper everywhere. This house had wallpapered folding bifold closet doors. So I don't know why we decided to try and salvage the closet doors. So they tried to strip the wallpaper, and then try and scuff them up enough to paint them. And it was a huge waste of time. So next time, take out the bifold doors and buy new ones. That was the big takeaway. But oh yeah, you have to account for that labor hours with the wallpaper. So got just tightened up everything else, electrical and plumbing, new fixtures, and I think one new vanity and new countertops. But the exterior in great shape. Basement was in pretty good shape. We did end up painting the basement, and then replacing carpet everywhere. And then the hardwood was in great shape everywhere else. So we kept that as was or as is, and we didn't even need to do any refinishing or anything like that. So all in all, it was about a $50,000 renovation. But another lessons learned was my contractor that I was using. He likes to run a small crew. It took a very long time. It took way longer than it should have. So that is a lesson that I've learned now, that I would pay extra to get the job done faster. And so I'm carrying that lessons learned forward to this next project that's coming up, because I just got the SOW back yesterday, and their quoted time to complete the rehab is 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I let out a gasp, and the guy was like, "Was that good or bad?" I told him that is very good. So I was even wondering how quickly the draw process for the hard money loan will be with a 3-week project. So that's for them to kind of figure out, but I have to facilitate that. I'm just excited that, they'll go from 3 weeks of rehab to right into listing it. They are continually under 1 week of being 1 week's time for their listing length. So I'm hoping that a month after close, we have a tenant in there already.
Nice.
So that's the
Nice.
goal.
Nice. So with that $50,000 rehab, were you guys on budget or did you run over?
We ran over by about $5,000, but then one thing I did not account for very well was holding costs, and due to the extended amount of time of the rehab, the holding costs were pretty crazy. They were pretty high, and this was during the whole time we were waiting on this rehab. The interest rate was like rising at a rate that you could just see it. It's like just every 5 minutes it seemed to be ticking up. That's when interest rates really started to rise, and I just saw, okay, this is going to get more and more difficult every week this project lasts.
Okay. Okay. So outside of your wife, outside of your realtor that, brings you majority of your deals, and your contractor that you just mentioned, and now this new property management company, do you have any other people on your team?
Yep, my dad, he is integral in a lot of the management, the hands-on management of the midterm rentals, and then the kind of start and ending processes of things. So if I get a property or if I get a property and I close on it, he's usually that first person out there to get a lockbox on the door, change the locks, and do those initial walkthroughs to really get a good sense of where we're at. And then when he can, he is able to also do work as well. But a lot of times he's the first tier support for any issue with the midterm rental guests, and yeah, he's been super integral in just cost savings and just really having a trusted person in your corner, letting you know what's going on with those properties.
Okay. Okay. So, all those people that I just mentioned, property manager, that's probably relatively new. And then, of course, also the realtor, we talked about that, nurturing that relationship. But with your contractor, uh, how have you been able to nurture that relationship?
Oh, we just, the biggest thing is he wants to, let you know that he's there to do a really good job. And I just kind of hear him out for everything. And we just stay really communicative. I prefer texting as my probably first line of communication, just with how everything is in life right now.
Mhm.
Being a millennial, I guess like we're kind of typecast into that as well. But he is much more like, hey, I want to be on the, I have a phone conversation with you. So I always come to him with that first. Like I go to his preferred way of communication, and just really kind of appease what he's needing.
Mhm.
And really, I mean, we built the relationship like, um, you know, he is really good at, hey, my water heater is not heating water. Can you go take a look? And he's really good at getting that problem diagnosed and fixed quickly. Something that one person can, do instead of running a crew. Right? He's really good hands on. Um, uh, doesn't so much have any interest in running and managing people.
Mhm.
So really just understanding um, what how he best likes to work and trying to meet him there instead of having him meet where I'm at. So
No, that's huge because sometimes you have to meet those, certain people where they're at.
mhm.
You just have to, just to keep that relationship working properly and as strongly as possible. So, yeah, that's great. So, let's transition a little bit. Do you still keep in touch? First and foremost, how long have you been retired?
Sure. So I am not actually officially retired. I spent 7 years active duty, and then I had to get out all the way, and then 6 months later, I was able to join the reserves for 4 years.
Okay.
So I have only like I guess it's 11 and change in total service time, something of that nature. But I honestly, I don't know if you were in the reserves.
Yeah.
It is a significant time. Um, there's a lot of time that you have to put into it. So if I was going to do real estate, I made the determination I needed to free up that time that I spend on my nights and weekends in the reserves. I needed to spend that on the real estate portfolio to advance our family, set our kids up for a better future, all that good stuff. So
Mhm.
I made the decision to just exit completely, and that was end of 2019.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. So through the reserves and also active duty, do you still keep in contact with some of your comrades?
Some yes, but like it is with anywhere. Everybody's still scattered across the entire country
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
or the world, and you kind of you talk when you can, and then whenever you see each other, it's like you haven't skipped a beat. So generally, that's how that works. I really formed probably the closest friendships with some of the folks in A school, and and they are still scattered everywhere. Unfortunately, no one really lives around here
Mhm.
that from those times. So yeah, it's a lot of virtual relationships, unfortunately, but you know hopefully that can change one day.
Yeah, absolutely. So when speaking with your comrades who are not in real estate, does your conversation kind of veer towards real estate?
Yep, if as much as I can, it does, and a lot of people do ask me about it. I have a few friends who kind of inspired and are on their first kind of information gathering journeys themselves. So I'm always checking in and letting them know that I'm here still for questions or encouragement, and hoping one day they start to pull the trigger and commit to it. So, but I don't push because I know it's a big daunting um, mindset shift,
Mhm.
and it's you got to be you have to be in the right mindset to really fully commit to it. So.
Yeah, totally, totally. So how do you like to give back to the military community?
So I will. I just do it as randomly as I can. Well, as random as possible. I will bend over backwards if I find out someone is in the military, or is a veteran. I will do anything I can to help them. As far as like if I see that they have, they're kind of putting feelers out for a job, or anything like that. Also, um, I am. I definitely will prioritize veteran-owned companies. Um, but anywhere I've been um, working, I will look at, hey, if you're a veteran-owned company, that's who I'm going to use. So inspection companies, the one in Toledo and the one I use here locally, both veteran-owned companies. I'll go to them every time. I don't care if they're $50 more, $100 more. They're the ones that get my businesses whenever I possibly can. And just this morning, a friend of mine, he's retired Army Special Forces, and he's still looking, putting out feelers for jobs. I'm on the phone, texting, calling people that he could get a hold of to to work through and everything like that. My big goal, I mentioned briefly about the desire to get out of my W-2 sketch or my W-2 job. When that happens, I will be starting a nonprofit, a veteran related nonprofit. I have ideas, I just don't have the time yet. So that is, I'm trying to get to that point so that I can make that my main focus, and be able to really hopefully throw some fire on or gas on that fire.
Nice. So, Trevor, before you became this very successful person I see in front of me, give our listeners a little bit of your backstory, like where you grew up, how was your upbringing, uh, what in your past shifted your mindset into becoming the person you are today.
Sure. So, yep, both my parents were actually in the Navy. They met in the Navy, and my mom got out first, and then my dad was still in the Navy. So we were stationed in Maryland. I was born up there, and after I was about 5 years old, and they were kind of getting, he was deploying a lot and all that stuff. They kind of made that decision. Hey, we're going to go ahead. You're going to go. Yeah, my dad was going to get out as well, and we moved back to where my mom grew up in Indiana. So I grew up in southern Indiana, really small town. When they showed back up to town, they started back from nothing. Like they went right back to entry level, you know, no college kind of jobs, and they both worked their ways back up. So we grew up, I'd say like low middle class, um, not a lot of extra money around, but they always made it look easy. That's something I can look back and always um, think about and kind of wonder how they did that. So they always made it look easy, never made it look hard, never made us really want, we could go play baseball, we'd always have food on the table. So we just weren't, the kid at school who gets a new toy every day or things like that. So um, real, working class type of upbringing, and being around my mom's family is the same deal with all of them. So I didn't have people in my life that were entrepreneurial. So it was always you're going to get a job and you're going to work for that pension, work for that retirement, and then retire. And I can't really tell you what has always driven me beyond that and wanting more and wanting that autonomy. Because I can't go back and say oh, it's because my parents controlled me too much. I knew I needed to not be controlled. I've always had that drive to want to be entrepreneurial. So lots of false starts on the way to where I'm at now. But like I said, with that first conversation with my friend, I had a lot of limiting mindset beliefs that were instilled in me early on. So, oh, I can't get a rental property. I don't have cash to buy it. Those kind of limiting beliefs were all through my life and things like that. So I've had to break through a lot of those to continue to charge forward and keep growing the portfolio. So.
Okay. Yeah. So as we begin to wrap up this interview, I have a few last questions. What is one belief you had as a beginning investor that has turned out to be false, but may be holding people back from taking the leap into investing?
Okay. Well, the obvious one is something I've already talked about twice, so I'll go with something else on there. But I think that when I started, it is has to do with, I guess, the cash flow being king of the real estate investing. I do, to a degree, still think that is probably 8 times out of 10 the right way for someone to get started. But I do think that if you're going to build a rock solid portfolio and you're going to hold some form of portfolio forever, indefinitely, it will need to evolve and look differently from where you started. So I don't think that necessarily I will just continue buying exactly the same asset class as I am now and just stacking and stacking and stacking. I think I will have to at some point play the monopoly game of replacing my little, I can't remember the colors, but replacing my little pieces for the bigger pieces, meaning I'm moving up an asset class, I'm moving up to a better class neighborhood, et cetera. And the game will be a lot more 3D than it will be two-dimensional.
Got it. Got it. All right. So knowing what you know now, what piece of advice would you give yourself at the beginning of your real estate journey um, to make you have faster, easier, smoother success?
Oh, perfect. This is a softball. Thank you for that. So I would stop stepping over dollars or stepping over pennies. Oh, shoot. I messed up the sweet. Stop stepping over dollars to get to pennies. So I would have established my processes way sooner, professionalized everything quicker, went through the process of utilizing hard money and proper contracting and made everything faster, and then focused on acquisition, just building up the acquisition process. So just fully focused on process and professionalization.
Okay. A almost similar question, but it's a little different. What strategies would you recommend to a beginner that has led to some of your success?
Sure. If I know I haven't done it myself, having started a little bit later in life and with a family, house hacking is a huge way to start. It really does. I would have, if I would have done that when I was stationed in San Diego, when I was 20 something years old. Oh gosh, that would have been really, really helpful to do. So yeah, I would say house hacking is a big one, and then utilizing any sort of uh, utilizing any sort of funding avenues that are out there, and then really it's going to come down to sacrificing maybe some comforts in order to come up with the cash to start. Um, there's no way to do it besides that sometimes, just because uh, where the market is now and where where you need to be in a mindset wise to continue to scale and grow it. You have to learn to sacrifice and to really prioritize the growth of your portfolio and the growth of your business.
Sweet. Is there any person, whether real estate related or not, that has led to your success?
Yeah, my wife, she has been uh, crazy instrumental, and sometimes it's been really hard. She's seen some false starts of my entrepreneurial spirit, and so when this time came around with real estate as being the idea, she really challenged me to be very tight with my plans and with what I wanted to do. And she was very she kept up with it. She kept me in check, and she kept me just motivated to continue doing it the right way. And that's been a huge factor. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Trevor, it has been a blast having you as our guest today. As we close out, please tell our listeners where we can learn a little bit more about you, get in touch with you, and learn about all the fabulous things you have going on right now.
sure thing. So if you're into trains, you can find me on LinkedIn. That's where I talk a little bit more professionally about my, my regular W-2 job. If you look up Trevor Methena, I think it's probably linkedin.com/Trevor Methena to find me there. On Instagram, it's Trevor Methena _REI. And there's where I talk a little bit more about real estate. You probably see a lot of kids, a lot of baseball pictures of my kids and things of that nature. But I'm always down to talk real estate, answer questions, anything you have, context wise that you'd want to talk about. I'm an open book. I try to be as much as possible, especially if you're coming to me and you're a veteran. That's the floodgates will be open for you. I'll let you know anything.
Good stuff. Trevor, again, I want to thank you for your time today and all the wisdom you have provided to my listeners. It's greatly appreciated. And I want to thank you, our fans, for tuning in to the Service to Syndication podcast, where we want to provide value to you and in your investing business. Please tune in to our next episode, where we will interview another fantastic investing professional. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Service to Syndication Podcast. We want you to know that we love and appreciate your support, and we are grateful about being a part of your journey to becoming a successful real estate entrepreneur. Please share this episode with a friend who you think will get a lot out of what you just heard. Send it to someone who you know is interested in real estate and dreams of having it all and being the best they can be in all areas of life. And if this was really valuable, share it on your social media stories and timelines. Thank you for watching and listening. Now go be great.